All right. How to have a ton of energy and never get sick. Okay. I've already sort of prefaced a little bit about why this is important. But, when it comes to being productive, guys, you basically have two things at your disposal every day. Okay. You have time, you have the units of time that you just happen to have available, whether it be 1 hour, 2 hours, 7 hours. You also have energy. How much strength, stamina, vibrancy are you bringing to that time, right? And those two sort of multiply together to produce the output that you could expect to get. And that, of course, implies that you're focused, right? That you're focusing while you're spending your time, while you're in a state of high energy. But what I've noticed is that time doesn't usually run out first, energy does. And what I mean by that is, a lot of people say, I don't really have any time, Brian. I haven't had time. I've been so busy. I couldn't, work towards my goals. But, at least for me, it's not literally that the clock, does not allow me to work a single other minute. It's more often that I'm just worn out. Like I'm just exhausted and I can't work anymore. And that's the reason why I quit. I'm just like, my brain hurts. Like I'm just achy and I can't focus and I'm just like frazzle brained and I need to go like, just sit on the couch and do something easier. Basically, my energy always runs out before my time does. And I suspect that's the case for a lot of people. There was actually a book on, what was it? It was a book on like time management, but the whole thing was like, how, you're not really managing your time. You're managing your energy. And that's the secret to getting a lot more productive or being more productive. But how are we expected to work a day job or run a business, take care of all of life's responsibilities, and then you're supposed to go out and put in a couple of focused, productive hours towards your goals and dreams, right? It's already so much to ask for. And like, I don't even have kids yet. So I know I've really got it coming, when we have our baby here in a couple months. I'm going to have a new appreciation for time and energy, I'm sure. But just, I know that life as it is when you have a job can be super exhausting. And a lot of us say we don't have, enough time to put towards our goals. But the truth, again, is that we probably just don't have enough energy to put towards our goals. And I want you to ask yourselves if you feel like that's true for you. Because when you're tired and then you throw in things like stress, which is a whole nother topic, or getting sick, big thing we're dealing with right now in the country, how are we expected to get anything at all done? And so today's training is actually going to dive deep into how to dramatically boost your energy, strengthen your immune system. And guys, this is my secret weapon. Like, I don't talk about this a lot because I don't feel like people want to hear about it or whatever. But to me, this is something that if you don't have in place, like, the money doesn't matter, in my opinion. I just don't think there's any point in having a lot of money if you don't have your health to enjoy it. And I've been in like masterminds with dudes, and it's like, this guy's like, I've got, I've got 1,000 apartment units. And the dude like has already had a heart attack and just looks like he's on his second one. And I'm just like, dude, like, I don't understand why you are prioritizing getting more apartment units. You know what I mean? Like, you could die. So, having your health is a huge pillar of, because we're all here to get real estate, but we're here to get real estate because we want to have a great lifestyle, right? We want to enjoy life. That's the point of the real estate. Well, you have to have your health more than anything else in order to have a great experience in life. So my journey through this whole thing, guys, is, I didn't get into the whole like rich dad, poor dad, 4 hour work week, like, passive income thing first. It was actually me diving into books on like nutrition and studying from leaders in that space and reading blogs and all that around that area. I even had my own nutrition blog for a while, and I thought that that was a space that I wanted to go into. I didn't, in hindsight, I wasn't like passionate enough about it to make it um, my main thing, but this is really important to me. So when I was in corporate America, I was really just starting to generally feel crappy all the time. And my diet during that time and leading up to that was terrible. Okay. It was basically like the whole like chicken wings and beer kind of diet. And, in college, like we didn't care what we ate. I didn't eat a vegetable like in college. Like I literally ate like Chick-fil-A every day. Like we didn't even, I think I ate my first salad in college, but I didn't really like it that much. And so when I was in corporate America, I'm in my early 20s, mid 20s, I started to eat certain foods and my stomach was starting to hurt pretty bad when I ate certain foods. And real quick, guys, I forgot to tell you, they're building a deck today on the back of our house. So that's why you're hearing all the hammering and sawing. So sorry about that. But when I would eat certain foods, my stomach would start to hurt. Okay. And then after that, all of a sudden, I start getting eczema all over my arms and legs. If you don't know what that is, it's like this itchy patches of skin. It's raised. It's like super itchy. Psoriasis is another like form of eczema that's similar. And I started to get that. And I was like, what the hell is going on? Like something is really up with my body. The eczema got infected. The whole situation was nasty, guys. Like I was like actually embarrassed to go around other people. I was wearing like long sleeves and long pants all the time. And it just totally like, how this coronavirus has halted the nation right now. Well, on my little like personal life scale, this eczema like thing halted my personal life. Like I was just like, I can't do anything until I figure this out because I'm miserable. I'm completely uncomfortable. I look terrible. And, I hit a wall. And so I went to the doctors and of course they told me like, Brian, just put some lotion on it. Here's some antibiotics for the infection. But obviously I knew that that was not the core cause. Okay. So I spent literally 6 months, guys, deep diving into what caused eczema and the pain in my stomach. Luckily, this was about the time when I quit my corporate job and I had like 10 grand in the bank because I got this first time home buyer refund, which was like the majority of that. And I had like this cushion to eke by for 6 months. I didn't have much money, but it bought me time to do research on what in the world was going on with me. And so that was like my main mission every day. And I got a 200 panel blood test done. I found out I was allergic to like dozens of different foods. And what I discovered was I eventually discovered why, I was having stomach pain, why I was having skin issues. So when the cells in your stomach lining are burdened down with enough toxins, they stop working properly. They mistakenly reject healthy, normal foods as a foreign invader. Okay. And they send out blood markers to attack what they think is a foreign object. And those get lodged in the skin. That causes things like eczema and psoriasis. So I could eat like a piece of watermelon or chicken or garlic or chocolate. I was allergic to all these different things. And my body was thinking like that was like a piece of plastic or something, like a foreign object. And so it was sending out these things in the blood, and that causes the eczema, and it causes all the inflammation, which causes the pain in your stomach. When you have a food allergy and your body thinks that like you're eating something bad, it gets inflamed. It was a mess. Okay. And guys, one thing that I know is true in life and business. Okay. You'll never fix a problem if you don't uncover the root cause, like I eventually did with this issue I was having. And so during the entire 6 months, I was looking for one thing. What is the root cause here? And that's what I want you guys to do all the time. Like when you are not having luck, like with your goals on investing or something, And you might say like, Brian, I just, I don't have any deals or whatever. I haven't had time. What I'll get into a lot of the time is I'll say, well, what's really, causing that? And for some people, it'll be like, I just don't like have the confidence to make an offer yet because I don't know if I'd be offering too much, or I'm just scared of what they might say to me, or, and you guys need to become like surgical about uncovering what is the root cause of whatever's going on with you. And so that's what I was able to eventually do here. And what I learned with the food is that was being caused by lack of nutrients in my diet. Okay. I was eating a crappy diet. So the foods I were eating, they weren't cleansing my body or making it healthier. They were actually making it more toxic. They were like clogging it down. And I did that for years and years. And then like those symptoms were just an expression of like years and years of bad decisions and damage. Right. So I learned about an entirely different approach to eating, which I'm going to share with you tonight. Within 6 months, my eczema had all cleared up. Food allergies totally disappeared. I can eat all those foods now with, zero problems. My skin all of a sudden looked a lot healthier. My energy levels were way up, which happened immediately after switching. In fact, I actually felt like once I started eating this new way, I felt like I was kind of buzzing at first. Like I just felt really good all the time. Like I had never felt that way from food ever before. And that eventually went away because, you get used to things. Like if you picked up a habit of running, you're going to feel great for the first 2 weeks, and then it's going to kind of become more your norm. But then you start to crave it when it goes away. So looking back, guys, I'm really glad that happened to me, even though it really sucked in the time that it did, because the approach to my diet has continued to give me a very vibrant state of health, like rarely getting sick, always having high energy levels. Okay. And just as a little preface, guys, I'm not going to propose that you follow a strict philosophy of eating on this call tonight. I'm not going to say you can't eat this and you have to only eat that. That's not what we're going to get at. And that's some of the best news of all. Okay. It's a different way of looking at this. Again, it's not restrictive. There's no certain philosophy, nothing to cut out. So what's the point of this? Well, there's really no point in getting your freedom back or making more money if you don't also create a high quality of energy and health in your life. Okay. If your enjoyment of life is at a 3 right now because you just don't feel good, and let's say your freedom's also at a 3, like you got to go to your job all day, I can help you get your freedom to a 10. But then you're just going to spend more time enjoying life at a 3, okay? Which is not what we want at all. And any successful person has had to eventually face this and master it. If they want to take their life to the maximum level, then they've had to face this health thing and they've had to figure it out. And I promise you what I'm going to share with you tonight is like the most cutting edge approach to that, where you won't have to look anywhere else and you can just plug and play a simple philosophy, simple solution, and then you can focus on the other things in life that you want to be focusing on. Okay. So if you guys were building a house, let me ask you this. Would you use cheap materials? Okay. Who here, like raise your hand if you would use cheap materials when you were building a house. Okay. So the food you eat is the materials that your body has to build itself with. Okay. And a lot of people don't know your body actually almost completely replaces itself every single year, meaning old cells die off and new cells are built. So your skin completely replaces itself. Like I think it's every handful of months or something. Your heart is always like old cells are dying, new cells are being added. Your body's always in this flushing and renewal state. And the stuff you put in your mouth is what it uses to build all the parts of your body. Okay. So it's important to really see food for that reason, for what it is. And people say things like nutritious foods, nutritious diet, but what do they really mean by that? A lot of people say that that means that foods that are high in vitamins or minerals like vitamin A or potassium, which those are one level of nutrient. But guys, there's other very powerful nutrients like phytochemicals, antioxidants that really, really help the body detoxify, that are the best possible building blocks for a strong, healthy body with a powerhouse immune system. Okay. And I'm not saying this to brag, guys, but like I don't get sick. Okay. And I can go around sick people. I mean, I might catch a cold every 2 or 3 years, like one time, and it lasts for a couple of days. Right. And that's usually when I went out and I had too many beers, and then I had to like get on an airplane the next day, and I felt like crap. If your immune system's compromised, you know, like that's when you get stuff. Or if you just feel really tired and you try to push through and not sleep and rest, that's when I'll get something. But you know, what you eat really does affect how often you get sick. So what is this? What am I talking about? What's the equation here? So in physics, a key formula is E equals mc squared, right? Well, in nutritional science, the key formula that they have uncovered is H equals NC, N divided by C. And that stands for that your health expectancy is equal to the amount of nutrients that you eat divided by the calories, okay? So to put that another way, the nutrient density of your calories determine your health, okay? Or to put it in a third way for investors, I heard some of you guys are investors, the ROI that you get on the calories you consume determines your health, okay? So you could eat like a bag of potato chips and that's 100 calories, but it has like, you know, hardly any nutrients. So the ROI on that is going to be really low, right? So this is something called the ANDI chart, Aggregate Nutrient Density Index is what it stands for, okay? And this chart lists out not every food, of course. I have a bigger version of this chart, but on a scale from 1 to 1,000 in terms of how nutrient dense it is, okay? That means nutrients per calorie. So if you were looking at like, you think about if you were looking at different rental properties and you're like, which one would produce the highest ROI on my money, right? And which one would be like a negative ROI? The stuff like eating something like kale would be like getting a 100 unit building for, you know, 10 grand or something, like insane return on calorie. Whereas eating like French fries would be like paying $1 million for a 20K house in the ghetto, right? The worst return you could imagine getting. I didn't plan to come up with these stupid ROI analogies, guys, but I hope it's helping to drive home the point. So there's a doctor named Dr. Joel Fuhrman who put together this study. He studied every food based upon the nutrient density of the food. And his philosophy is not to eliminate certain foods, but to lean towards a diet where you're going to get a much higher ROI on the foods that you eat, okay? And so the old food pyramid is BS, and we've kind of already redone it. Even the new one's not great. But this is really the way that is your diet should ideally be portioned, okay? Portions are a big theme of getting it right. Like you can eat pizza tonight and you're going to be fine, but like you can't eat it all the time, right? I mean, that's common sense, but you don't, some people think like, you know, you have to be so strict and just completely cut everything out. And if you do it for ethical reasons like veganism, that's totally fine. That's another story, but we're just talking about health and energy tonight, right? You don't have to be like extreme, but this is generally, if you look at the way that this is proportioned out, this is the way that I eat. And this is the reason why I feel like I have a state of health. I get my blood work done every year and it always comes back great. I don't get sick. You know, I wake up like just really excited to crush every day. And this really matters. Like for me, I could not do what I do without this. And so I was like, I have to share this with you guys, even if you think I'm crazy and you're like, why are we talking about broccoli on a real estate call, right? This is a one-off lesson, okay? And this has really, really changed my life. So this is a list of some of the top foods in terms of nutrient density, okay? And you can see pretty quickly that vegetables are by far the clear winner, right? So people always say, like, eat your vegetables, you know, but no one really knows exactly why. Well, this is why, okay? It's because they provide a lot more return on investment nutrient per calorie. Like kale is like this like silly thing where people like wear shirts that say kale on it, right? And it's become like this thing. But the reason why it's so popular is because it is, you know, the most nutrient dense food. I remember going to like buffets when I was a kid, like Shoney's or Pizza Hut or something, and like they had kale like decorating the buffet, like sitting on the ice, you know, or whatever, like in between the platters. They would put a piece on your plate sometimes. Like people used to decorate food with kale. It's hilarious. But so when I approach my day and I'm like, all right, if I'm going to eat 3 meals, I'm looking for where can I insert these different food items into my diet. And I'm going to share with you what I think the one easiest way to do that is on this call, so that you got, because I know you're probably thinking like, this is cool, Brian, but I don't want to go to the store and buy all this weird looking stuff and figure out how to cook it, and it's probably not even going to taste good. I get it. Okay. So I'm going to talk about that. Let's talk about this term nutritarian. This is a term that was coined by Dr. Furman, who I'm going to recommend a book by at the end of this call. So if you want to learn more, if you want to learn everything, I'll like give you the resource and you can run with it. Okay. But that's what I would refer myself to as nutritarian. This is like something that was coined by that doctor. And so a label like vegetarian, that is focused on what someone excludes from their diet. All right. For example, I'm a vegetarian, so I do not eat meat. I exclude meat from my diet. The nutritarian approach focuses much more on inclusion. Okay. Example, I make sure to drink a green smoothie every day so I can get my nutrients in. You see how there's a big difference between those two? You could be a vegetarian and succeed at that, but only eat cereal for three meals a day and you'll die and you'll feel terrible, right? So labels that focus on what you exclude from your diet don't say what the diet includes, and that's a big problem with labels like that, okay? So instead of focusing on exclusion, you have to focus on inclusion, okay? That's the big secret. The path to great health is founded upon inclusion of what you include in your diet, not exclusion, not what you exclude. A diet that is focused around high nutrient foods, but it doesn't necessarily exclude any other foods. Isn't it kind of liberating to know that you could take a philosophy or an approach to food that was like that? So to put this simply, guys, if you had your green smoothie and your salad already, have pizza for dinner, have a beer, you know, relax, like have a cookie. You're going to be all right. You're not going to die, because the majority of the calories that you consumed that day came from high nutrient foods. Then you've done your job, you know, and you can start small. Okay. Let's talk about micronutrients versus macronutrients for a second. We've already talked about what micronutrients are: the vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants. If you look at the produce aisle and you see the green in the vegetables, that's vitamin K. You see the orange in carrots, that's beta carotene. The purple in beets is something, I can't remember what it's called. You're literally seeing phytochemicals in foods because the color is the nutrient, right? That's the stuff that's really going to make you healthy. But what about macronutrients, right? Protein, fat, carbs, calories. That's how most people approach health. And you can see why, if they don't take into account the micronutrient density of the foods, it doesn't really matter what the macronutrient ratio, how much protein, fat, carbs does it have, right? Because you could still eat things that are dead foods that are not going to fuel your body, but they hit your macronutrient ratios, okay? So typically when you follow a nutritarian style of eating, you'll hit your macronutrient ratios just fine. The one area that's a huge hang up for people is protein. Okay. If you start to incorporate more plants into your diet, which is the key to this whole thing, that's all you got to do, you will be by default eating less protein dense foods. Okay. So that's the biggest reason always people say, and you might say this too, like, oh, I tried to be vegetarian. I tried to eat salad for dinner, but I was like starving all the time. Right. And that's because you made the salad in a way where it's not going to hit your macronutrient ratios as well. There's not enough protein in it. So it's not going to be satisfying to you. Okay. So it's important to be intentional about incorporating all the protein you need into your meals. There's a different layer of education and skill about like learning to make a meal that's healthy, but also delicious and filling. Okay. And I promise you all that's possible. So where do we start? First of all, totally overhauling your diet is not required at first or ever. Okay. That's not the point of this. I say start with breakfast. Okay. I feel like the smoothie that I have every morning gives me a huge advantage. Okay. That's all I've had today, actually, because I made so much of it. I had it for breakfast and lunch. If I do eat like a muffin or a burrito for breakfast, I have noticeably less energy throughout the day. Okay. Like I really can tell a difference. So I want to share with you the recipe that I use to make my green smoothie. And I want you guys to try this. Okay. Just once, if you don't like it, whatever, go back to doing what you're doing. But this is how I start my day. Okay. So I throw in 3 cups of spinach or just a couple of big handfuls. Like you can put as much as you want. It disappears in there. 1.5 cups almond milk, 2 handfuls of berries. It can be any kind of berry. 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, half an avocado. I do some plant-based protein powder. I like Vega 1. I do some celery, some carrots, strawberries, and blueberries frozen. And then I top it with hemp hearts when it's done. Okay. And this smoothie tastes delicious. Okay. Like it tastes like sweet and like peanut buttery. It does not taste bad. Like people think like you're going to blend up spinach and celery and carrots and eat it. Dude, it tastes good. Every single person I've ever given one to cannot believe how good it tastes. Okay. The vanilla protein powder is a big part of it tasting good too. Another thing that's actually essential for this, if you want to be serious, is you got to get a Vitamix. Okay. They're $400. It's a lot of money, but like it blends things so creamy and just thoroughly that they're amazing. And like you imagine yourself sitting down in the morning to eat all this stuff on a plate. Like, would you want to eat a whole salad first thing in the morning of raw spinach and tons of fruit and like some celery and some carrots? You know what I mean? Like, hell no, that would suck. But if you can get a machine that can blend all that for you, not only is it delicious and easier to eat, but when you blend something, you get more nutrients from the food than you do from chewing, because most people don't chew well enough, me included. And your stomach doesn't have the enzyme to break down cellulose, which is what is the outside of a cell wall on a plant. So if you don't chew something open with your teeth, then you won't get the nutrient in your stomach. And so the like blending stuff really, really is powerful for that. Okay. So we're about to wrap up here, guys, and get to your questions. But I want to just go over a few more things. Okay. So first of all, if you think this is cool and you're like, I could try doing this, just remember it's about percentages. Okay. What % of your calories are highly nutritious versus not? It's not about exclusion. It's just about sliding the scale. So don't think you have to go out and just sit there and eat a bowl of raw vegetables. Okay. Also, learn how to make those meals delicious. Like there's some cookbooks and classes you can take. I think that learning how to cook is one of the most underappreciated skills, because what's one thing we do every single day? We eat, right? Multiple times, and we look forward to it. Why wouldn't we learn how to like make the food taste better? You know? So I really advocate for learning how to cook. And then getting your body used to these foods to where you start to crave them. Like I actually enjoy eating this way now. Like it's not like I use willpower every day, force myself to, oh, bro, I got to go eat another bowl of kale or whatever. Like I actually want that most of the time. But I'll come have some pizza with you and drink some beer and like eat some French fries. Okay, I'm not so strict about this. Like I will eat dessert. I had some chocolate cookies last night, right? Um, but when you notice how good you feel eating the way your body wants you to, you don't want to go back to that. Okay. It's the same reason people like get addicted to exercise, because they're like, man, if I exercise, I sleep good and I'm happier and have more energy and I'm in a better mood all the time and I'm like better at my job, you know, and they just like all these positive emotions start to be associated with exercise, and then they just go to the gym like clockwork. Same thing happens with food. Okay. But you have to like manually get that ball rolling yourself. So all I'm asking you guys is to think about, could you slide the scale more in the direction of nutrient dense foods? Okay. And don't feel like you have to change your entire diet. This is, it's about inclusion, not exclusion. The secret is that when you include, if you say like, I'm going to eat anything I want today, but I'm going to make sure that I also have a green smoothie and then I have a salad later. The irony is that you won't want the other stuff once you have those things. Okay. Because high nutrient diets kill food cravings. Food cravings are often caused by empty foods and you don't get any nutrients. So have you ever sat there and you've ate the whole bag of potato chips and you're just like, I can't stop, I can't get enough? It's because they're not like giving your body anything that it needs. So it's empty calories. And so you just you're never going to like quench that craving for nutrition through potato chips. So you can burn through a whole bag. But I bet you've never said like, oh man, I ate way too much broccoli, right? Because you hit this wall with that kind of stuff. And you're like, oh, satisfied. Okay. And so I found that, because I was always like really big into like sugar and eating dessert every day and being addicted to stuff. And I didn't try to cut that stuff out. I just focused on what was I going to include in my diet every day. Like, well, I'm going to have my smoothie. I'm going to get some other veggies some other time of the day. I just started really light like that. And I found that I was just eating a lot less bad stuff by default, because I just either didn't crave it or I just didn't have any room in my stomach for it, you know, like, so this is just such a backdoor approach towards eating healthy. Right? You know, no one's ever told you, hey, you don't have to count, you don't have to count your calories. You don't have to cut out all the stuff that you love. You just got to include some certain things. And that's what I really love about this approach more than anything else. So last slide, guys, and we'll take some questions for the next hour and a half here or more here. But what to do next? Grab this book, okay? Eat for Health, Dr. Joel Fuhrman's book, Eat for Health. Read that thing fully to understand the why behind this. When I sat down and read that book, I was obsessed. I read the entire book in one day, and I stayed up until like 4 a.m. reading it. I was just like, oh my gosh, this, like nothing else before, has explained what's going on with me and what I'm really supposed to, how I'm really supposed to approach food. And so if you got, and that book has like the full Andy chart in it too, with like all the foods rated on the scale of 1 to 1,000. So you can see what's like really the healthiest to eat. Again, once you understand the science and what's really going on in your body based upon the foods you eat, you're going to be way more motivated to make healthy choices. Okay. Also, I want you guys to share with the group. some of the things that you do to keep on top of your game, keep your energy high. You can share those with us tonight on this call, or you can share them with us in Slack. But I want to know what some of your secrets are. This is one of my big secrets, but I want to know what some of your secrets are as well.